The first shot came from the harvesters. A beam of pure energy lanced across space, striking an Earth defense satellite. The satellite exploded in a ball of fire and metal. Then all hell broke loose. The harvester fleet surged forward. Their ships moved in perfect formation, weapons firing in coordinated waves. Earth's defensive line responded with everything they had. Missiles streaked through space. Plasma cannons lit up the darkness. Kinetic weapons fired solid projectiles at incredible speeds. The space near the moon became a storm of fire and death. Jinwoo led his squadron into the chaos. "Delta Squadron, with me. We're targeting the lead ships. Hit them fast and hard, then break away before they can lock on." His fighters dove into the harvester formation. They were tiny compared to the massive enemy ships, like insects attacking elephants, but they were fast and agile. Jinwoo fired his missiles at a harvester cube. The missiles struck home, tearing holes in the dark metal, but the ship kept coming. "These things don't die easy," one of his pilots shouted. "Then we hit them again." Jinwoo replied, "Focus your fire. Bring them down one at a time." All around them, the battle raged. Earth's ships fought desperately, but the harvesters were overwhelming. For every enemy ship damaged, 3 more pushed forward. The geometric vessels used weapons that humans had never seen. Some fired beams that seemed to age metal, making ships crumble to dust. Others released swarms of smaller drones that tore into Earth's fighters like piranhas. Admiral Taiyang watched from the Indomitable as his fleet slowly lost ground. They were being pushed back toward Earth. The casualties were mounting. "All ships fall back to secondary positions." "Fighting retreat pattern." The fleet pulled back, still firing. They had practiced this maneuver. Retreat wasn't surrender. It was strategy. Lead the enemy in, make them extend their formation, then hit them from the sides. On a medical frigate far from the main battle, Yuna worked frantically. Injured pilots and crew members were brought in constantly. Human and Velaran medical staff worked side by side, treating burns, trauma injuries, and wounds from weapons that Earth medicine had never encountered. "Doctor, we have multiple casualties incoming from the Indomitable," a nurse called out. "Put them in Bay 3. I'm coming." Yuna ran, her patterns flickering with stress and determination. She would save as many as she could. That was all she could do. The battle had been raging for 2 hours. Earth's forces were being pushed back, taking heavy casualties. But they weren't breaking. They weren't running. Every ship, every fighter, every defense platform fought with desperate courage. The harvesters had expected an easy victory. They were wrong. Captain Sora watched the battle from the horizon. Her ship was hidden behind the moon, waiting for the right moment. The quantum disruptor was ready, but they needed to get close to the harvester command ship. That meant going through the entire enemy fleet. "Captain, the fleet is getting pushed back," her tactical officer reported. "If we don't move soon, there won't be a fleet left to take advantage of the disruptor." Sora nodded. "Helm, plot a course through the harvester formation. Stealth mode maximum. We go now." The horizon slipped from its hiding place and accelerated toward the battle. Its stealth systems made it nearly invisible, but not completely. They would have to be careful and lucky. Jinwoo's squadron had been reduced to 12 fighters. 8 of his pilots were gone, but they kept fighting. They darted between harvester ships, firing at weak points, drawing fire away from larger vessels. It was exhausting and terrifying work. Then Jinwoo saw something that made his blood run cold. A group of harvester ships was breaking away from the main formation. They were heading toward Earth, toward the cities below. "Command, this is Delta Leader. Multiple harvester ships breaking formation. They're heading for Earth." Taeyang's voice came through. "Copy that, Delta Leader. All available fighters intercept those ships. Do not let them reach Earth." Jinwoo turned his squadron. "You heard the Admiral.
Follow me."
They raced after the harvester ships. Other fighters joined them. Together they swarmed the enemy vessels, doing everything they could to slow them down. Some fighters rammed their ships into harvester weapons to disable them. It was suicide, but it worked. The harvester ships were forced to stop and deal with the attacks. On Earth, people watched the fighters sacrifice themselves to protect the planet below. Many cried. Many prayed. Everyone understood what those pilots were giving up. The horizon weaved through the battle, avoiding weapons fire and debris. They were halfway to the command ship when a harvester drone detected them. "Alarms blared. We're spotted," the tactical officer shouted. "Multiple contacts closing." "Keep going," Sora ordered. We're not stopping. The Horizon's weapons came online, firing at the drones chasing them. Some drones exploded, others got through and struck the ship's shields. The shields held, but they were weakening. Hull breach on deck 3, someone reported. Seal it and keep moving. Sora's hands gripped her chair. They were so close. Hana was on one of the defense platforms helping human technicians coordinate targeting. She watched the Horizon's desperate run and knew what Sora was trying to do. Come on, she whispered. You can make it. The Horizon broke through the last line of harvester ships. The command vessel was ahead, a massive pyramid of dark metal. It was 10 times larger than any other ship in the harvester fleet. This was their target. Deploy the disruptor, Sora ordered. The cargo bay opened. The quantum disruptor launched, flying toward the command ship. Harvester weapons tried to shoot it down, but the Horizon positioned itself in the way, taking hit after hit. The ship was being torn apart. We're losing power, someone shouted. Shields are down. Just a few more seconds. Sora watched the disruptor get closer and closer to the command ship. The disruptor attached itself to the harvester command ship's hull. For a moment, nothing happened. Then it activated. A pulse of quantum interference spread out from the device, invisible but powerful. It washed over the entire harvester fleet in an instant. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Harvester ships suddenly stopped their coordinated movements. They drifted, confused. Their weapons stopped firing. The perfect formation fell apart as ships moved in random directions, unable to communicate with each other. It worked. Jinwoo couldn't believe it. The disruptor worked. Admiral Taeyang saw the opportunity. All ships, all weapons, target the command ship. Fire everything. Every remaining Earth vessel turned its weapons on the harvester command ship. Missiles, plasma beams, kinetic rounds, everything humanity had left was thrown at that one target. The command ship's shields flickered under the assault. Sections of its hull began to explode. The Horizon, damaged almost beyond recognition, made one final act. Sora pointed the ship directly at the command vessel. Evacuate the ship. Get to the escape pods. Captain, what are you doing? Her crew asked. Making sure it dies. Now go, that's an order. Her crew reluctantly ran for the escape pods. Sora stayed at the helm. She thought about her family, her friends, everyone she was fighting for. Then she pushed the engines to maximum and aimed for the weakest point in the command ship's shields. The Horizon struck the command ship at full speed. The impact was massive. Both ships exploded in a fireball that lit up space. The command ship, already heavily damaged, couldn't survive. It broke apart, pieces tumbling through space. Without their command ship, the harvester fleet became completely disabled. The quantum disruptor was still running, disrupting their network, and now they had no central intelligence to guide them. Individual ships tried to fight, but they were disorganized and ineffective. Now, Taeyang shouted. Hit them while they're down. The Earth fleet surged forward with renewed energy. They targeted the disabled harvester ships one by one. Explosions lit up the battlefield. Ships that had seemed invincible minutes ago were now vulnerable. Earth's forces showed no mercy. Jinwoo led his remaining fighters in attack runs, destroying harvester drones and damaging larger vessels. All around him, Earth and Velarin crews worked together, fighting with everything they had left. The battle lasted another hour. By the end, the harvester fleet was destroyed. Some ships managed to jump away through emergency portals, but most were left as debris floating in space. Earth had won, but the cost was terrible. More than half of Earth's defensive fleet was gone. Thousands of people had died. The Indomitable was still intact but heavily damaged. The space around the moon was filled with wreckage and bodies. On Earth, people celebrated and cried at the same time. They had survived, but so many had died to make that survival possible. In the medical bay, Yuna collapsed from exhaustion. She had worked for 5 straight hours, treating hundreds of wounded. Minho found her and helped her to a bed. You saved a lot of lives today, he told her. Not enough, she replied, tears streaming down her face. Never enough. Jinwoo brought his remaining fighters back to their carrier. Only 6 of his original 20 pilots survived. He sat in his cockpit for a long moment, thinking about the ones who didn't make it back. Then he climbed out and went to make his report. Admiral Taeyang stood on the damaged bridge of the Indomitable, looking at the debris field where the battle had been fought. Count the cost, he ordered quietly. And then prepare recovery operations. I want every escape pod found, Every survivor rescued. The clock showed 36 hours until the Harvester fleet reached Earth. Every minute counted. Every second could mean the difference between survival and extinction. Earth had never mobilized so fast. Every nation contributed whatever they could. Ships, weapons, soldiers, supplies. Everything was brought together for one desperate defense. Jinwoo barely slept. He coordinated with military leaders across the globe, planning defensive formations and attack strategies. His office was filled with screens showing ship positions, weapon capabilities, and tactical simulations. Every simulation ended the same way. Earth lost. "We need a miracle," Taeyang said, staring at another failed simulation. "Then we'll make one," Jinwoo replied. He refused to give up. Giving up meant accepting defeat, and he wasn't ready to do that. In the research facility, Minho and Yuna worked with barely any rest. They had a theory about disrupting the Harvester's quantum communication network, but turning theory into reality was incredibly difficult. The device they needed had to generate a specific frequency of quantum interference. Too weak and it would do nothing. Too strong and it might tear holes in space itself. "We're basically trying to build a weapon from science that was theoretical until yesterday," one human engineer said, rubbing his tired eyes. "Then we're making history," Minho replied. "Keep working." Yuna brought them food and made sure they drank water. She understood desperation. Her people had felt this same desperation when the Harvesters came to their world. "You can do this," she encouraged them. "You must do this." Other Velaran helped in different ways. Engineers who understood energy systems worked with human technicians to boost shield generators. Former soldiers trained with human troops, teaching them Harvester attack patterns. Everyone contributed what they could. Captain Sora was given a special mission. She would command the diplomatic vessel called Horizon. The ship was fast and equipped with stealth technology. If Minho's team could finish the quantum disruptor, Sora's job was to get close enough to the Harvester command ship to deploy it. "This is a suicide mission," one of her crew members said quietly. Sora looked at her team. They were young, scared, but determined. "Maybe, but somebody has to do it. And we're the only ship fast enough to get through their defenses. We have a chance. That's more than most people will have." "Why are we doing this for aliens we just met?" another crew member asked. "Because they're not just aliens. They're people. They have children. They have families. They're us, just from a different world. And if we let them die without trying to save them, we're not worth saving ourselves." The crew nodded. They understood. Junho Bei spent his time visiting soldiers and civilians. He was too old to fight, but he could offer comfort and wisdom. He told them stories about survival, about hope, about why fighting for others mattered. Many soldiers found strength in his words. "My generation failed in many ways," he told a group of young pilots. "We fought wars over resources and pride. We let refugees die at our borders. We chose fear over compassion too many times. But your generation is different. You're fighting for people you don't know, from a world you've never seen. That makes you better than we were. That makes you heroes." The pilots flew into battle carrying his words in their hearts. The quantum disruptor was finished with only 12 hours to spare. It looked like a large metal sphere covered in glowing circuits. Minho explained how it worked to the military leaders. When activated, it will send out a pulse of quantum interference. This pulse will disrupt the entanglement network connecting all Harvester ships. For approximately 90 seconds, maybe 2 minutes, their coordination will collapse. They won't be able to communicate or work together. 90 seconds? Taeyang asked. "That's not much time. It's enough if we use it right. In those 90 seconds, the Harvesters will be vulnerable, confused. That's when we hit them with everything we have. Every weapon, every ship, all at once. We target their command vessel. Without it, the fleet will be even more disorganized. And how do we get close enough to their command ship to use this device?" President Doyen asked. Sora stepped forward. "The Horizon will carry it. We'll use our stealth systems to get through their formations. Once we're close enough, we'll deploy the disruptor and activate it." "You'll never make it back," Doyen said quietly. "I know, sir." Sora's voice was steady. "But if we succeed, Earth might survive. That's worth it." Doyen looked at her for a long moment. Then he saluted. "Humanity is lucky to have people like you, Captain." The final hours passed too quickly. Families said their goodbyes. Soldiers checked their weapons one last time. Pilots climbed into their fighters. Engineers made last-minute adjustments to shields and weapon systems. Earth's defense fleet took their positions near the moon. Hundreds of ships formed a defensive line. Behind them, orbital platforms bristled with missiles and cannons. It was everything humanity had. In the Velarin facility, Hana gathered her people. We asked for sanctuary and Earth gave it to us. Now Earth is about to fight for us. Some of us have asked if we should run, try to escape before the battle begins. I say no. We stay, we help. We show Earth that we are worth fighting for. And if we die standing with our new friends. Her people agreed. Velarin volunteers joined human crews on many ships. They would fight together. Jinwoo made a final inspection of his squadron. 20 fighters, each armed with the best weapons Earth could provide. It wasn't much against a fleet of harvester warships, but it was what they had. His pilots looked nervous but determined. We all know the odds, Jinwoo told them. We're outgunned, outnumbered, and facing an enemy that has destroyed countless civilizations. But we have something they don't. We have a reason to fight. We're protecting our home. We're protecting people who trusted us. And we're showing the universe that humanity doesn't abandon those in need. So when those harvester ships come at us, we hit them with everything we've got. We make them work for every inch. We make them remember that they picked a fight with Earth. And we don't stop until either they're gone or we are. Understood? Yes, sir. The pilots shouted together. On the horizon, Sora ran through her final checks. The quantum disruptor was secured in the cargo bay. Her crew was ready. She thought about her family, her friends, everyone she was leaving behind. But she didn't regret her choice. Some things were worth dying for. Admiral Taeyang stood on the bridge of his flagship, Indomitable. The massive battleship was the largest vessel in Earth's fleet. Around him, officers worked at their stations. Everyone was focused. Everyone knew what was coming. All ships report ready, sir, his communications officer announced. Taeyang nodded. Send a message to all vessels. Today we face an enemy that believes we will surrender or die easily. They believe humans are weak. They believe compassion is weakness. They are wrong. Today we show them what humans are really made of. We stand together. We fight together. And we win together. For Earth, for the Velarin, for everyone who ever needed someone to stand up and fight for them. All ships, battle stations. Prepare for engagement. Across the fleet, the message was received. On every ship, human and Velarin crew members stood ready. They were scared. They knew most of them would probably die. But they also knew they were doing something important. Something that mattered. The long-range sensors detected movement. The harvester fleet had crossed into the moon's orbit. They were here. The battle was about to begin. On Earth, billions of people watched their screens. They saw the defense fleet waiting. They saw the massive harvester ships approaching. They knew this might be the last stand of humanity. Parents held their children. Friends held hands. Strangers prayed together. In the Velarin facility, Sumi clutched her drawing to her chest. The picture of humans and Velarin standing together under a peaceful sky. She whispered a prayer in her own language, hoping that somehow that peaceful sky would still be there tomorrow. The harvester fleet stopped just outside the moon's orbit. For a moment, everything was still, silent. Then, together, all 150 harvester ships powered up their weapons. The battle for Earth was about to begin. The night sky over the Pacific Ocean lit up like day. Something massive was falling through the atmosphere. Burning bright orange and red, pieces of metal broke away from the main object, creating dozens of smaller fireballs. On military bases across the world, alarms started ringing. Satellites tracked the falling object as it screamed toward Earth. Commander Jinwoo Park was drinking coffee in his office at the United Earth Defense Force headquarters when his phone buzzed. The message was short and urgent. Unknown vessel entering atmosphere. Crash landing predicted. Northern Canada. All units mobilized. Jinwoo grabbed his jacket and ran. Within minutes, he was on a transport heading north with his team. They flew through the cold night air, everyone silent and tense. Nobody knew what they would find. An enemy ship? A probe from another world? Something worse? The crash site was easy to spot. A massive scar cut through the forest, trees knocked down like toys. At the end of the path sat a ship unlike anything humans had ever built. It was smooth and curved, made of a silver metal that seemed to shimmer even in the darkness. Parts of it were torn open, sparking and smoking. Jinwoo ordered his team to spread out and secure the area. They approached with weapons ready. The ship's hull was warm to touch. Strange symbols covered its surface, glowing faintly. Then they heard it. Sounds from inside, not mechanical sounds. Voices. Crying. A door on the ship's side opened with a hiss of air. Jinwoo raised his weapon, his heart pounding. What stepped out made him freeze. It was humanoid, walking on 2 legs with 2 arms and a head, but its skin glowed softly with blue and purple patterns that moved like waves. Its eyes were large and filled with fear. The creature held up its hands, showing it had no weapons. It spoke, but the words made no sense. Then it touched something on its neck, a small device. When it spoke again, a mechanical voice translated, "Please, do not shoot. We need help. We are refugees." More of them came out of the ship. Some were limping, others carried children. They all had the same glowing skin, the patterns shifting between blue and purple and sometimes red. Jinwoo counted them as they emerged. Hundreds of them. They looked exhausted, scared, and hurt. A young female approached Jinwoo. Her translator device seemed to work better than the others. "My name is Hana," she said. The mechanical voice was clearer now. "We are Velarin. We were running away. Our navigation failed. We did not mean to come here." Jinwoo lowered his weapon. These were not invaders. They were people in trouble. "How many of you are there?" he asked. 847, Hana replied. Her glowing patterns turned darker blue. "We lost many already. Please, we have injured. They need help." One of Jinwoo's soldiers stepped forward. "Sir, we should contain them." "Protocol says—" "I know what protocol says," Jinwoo interrupted. He looked at the refugees, at the children clinging to their parents, at the wounded lying on the ground. He made a decision that felt right in his gut. "Get medical teams here now. Food, water, blankets, move." His soldier hesitated. "Commander, we don't know what they are." "What if this is dangerous?" Jinwoo turned to face him. "Look at them. Really look. They're not a threat. They're refugees who crashed on our world by accident. We help them. That's who we are. Now move." The team scattered to follow orders. Within an hour, the forest was filled with activity. Medical helicopters landed, bringing doctors and supplies. The Velarin refugees watched with cautious hope as humans worked to help them. A Velarin female with darker patterns approached the medical teams. Through her translator, she said, "I am Yuna. I am a healer for my people. Please let me help. I know how to treat their injuries." Dr. Minho Lee, a human doctor who had arrived with the medical teams, looked at Yuna. Despite everything being strange and new, he saw a fellow medical professional. "Show me," he said simply. Yuna and Minho worked side by side, treating the injured. Language barriers meant nothing when lives were at stake. They pointed, demonstrated, learned from each other. Other humans joined in, handing supplies, carrying stretchers, offering water to the tired and scared refugees. Hana stood next to Jinwoo as they watched the rescue efforts. "Why are you helping us?" she asked. "You don't know us. We could be dangerous." Jinwoo thought about his answer carefully. "Where I come from, we have a saying. When someone is drowning, you don't ask their name before throwing them a rope. You just throw the rope. But we brought our ship down on your world. We could have hurt your people, but you didn't. And you're hurt and scared and far from home. That's all I need to know right now." Jinwoo looked at her. "Once everyone is stable and safe, you can tell us your story. But first, let's make sure everyone lives to tell it." Over the next few hours, all 847 Velarin were treated and given food and water. Temporary shelters were set up. Children, despite their exhaustion, showed curiosity about the strange humans helping them. Some humans smiled and waved. The children waved back. As dawn broke over the forest, Jinwoo stood on a hill overlooking the camp. He had sent his initial report to headquarters. Now came the hard part. The world would wake up to the news that aliens had landed on Earth. Not invaders or explorers, but refugees. People running from something. Hana joined him on the hill. The morning light made her skin patterns glow brighter. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now we talk. You tell us your story, where you came from, why you were running." Jinwoo paused. "What you were running from." Hana's pattern shifted to deep purple. "Fear. That is a long and terrible story. We have time. And whatever comes next, we'll face it together." Hana looked at him with those large eyes. "You say that now, but you don't know what followed us. What might still be following us." Jinwoo felt a chill despite the warm morning air, but he kept his voice steady. "Then we'll deal with that when it comes. For now, you're safe. Your people are safe. That's what matters." Below them, the camp was coming to life. Humans and Velarin, strangers from different worlds, sharing breakfast and trying to communicate. It was the beginning of something neither species could have predicted. A connection that would change everything for both of them. The Harvester fleet did not hide. They moved through Earth's solar system like they owned it, passing Neptune, then Uranus, heading steadily toward the inner planets. Every observatory on Earth and in orbit tracked them. The fleet was massive. Over 150 ships, each one larger than any human spacecraft. The ships were geometric and cold. Perfect cubes and pyramids and spheres made of dark metal that seemed to absorb light. They moved in precise formations, never breaking pattern. They looked like machines because that's what they were. No life inside those ships. Just artificial intelligence and weapons. The Earth Security Council met in emergency session. Leaders from every major nation appeared on screens around the conference room. Everyone was scared, but they tried to hide it. Jinwu stood with Admiral Taeyang, presenting what they knew. The fleet will reach Mars orbit in 48 hours, Taeyang said. His voice was steady, professional. At their current speed, they'll be in Earth orbit 12 hours after that. Total time until arrival, 60 hours. Have they communicated? Asked one of the leaders. Yes, sir. One message. Sent in multiple languages, including English, Chinese, Spanish, and Arabic. They know about us. They've been watching and listening. What did the message say? Taeyang pressed a button. A voice filled the room. It was artificial, cold, without emotion. Return the biological resources designated Velarin. Compliance ensures your preservation. Resistance ensures absorption. You have 72 hours. Silence filled the conference room. Then everyone started talking at once. Some demanded that the Velarin be handed over immediately. Others argued against it. The arguing got louder and angrier. President Doyen Song of the United Earth Government raised his hand for silence. He was a calm man, known for thinking carefully before speaking. We need to be clear about what we're discussing. These harvesters are giving us a choice. Give them the refugees or fight. Does anyone believe that giving them the Velarin will actually save us? Hana was asked to speak to the council. She stood before the most powerful people on Earth, her patterns flickering red with fear. The harvesters don't keep promises. If you give us to them, they will take us. Then they will harvest your world anyway. They saw Earth. They know you have technology and resources. They will take everything. So we're doomed either way. Someone asked, if you fight, you might have a chance. If you surrender, you have none. The harvesters don't show mercy because they don't understand mercy. They only understand consumption and efficiency. More arguments followed. Some countries wanted to vote on handing over the Velarin. Others refused to even consider it. The arguing continued for hours. Jinwu watched, frustrated. They were wasting time. Finally, President Doyen spoke again. We need to vote. But before we do, I want to say something. 3 months ago, we voted to give these people asylum. We told them they were safe here. We made a promise. If we break that promise now because keeping it became difficult, what does that say about us? What does that say about humanity? The vote was called. Jinwu held his breath. One by one, the nations voted. Some voted to surrender the Velarin, but most voted to stand and fight. The final count was decisive. Earth would not hand over the refugees. President Doyen addressed the world an hour later. His speech was broadcast everywhere. We have been given an ultimatum by an enemy force. They demand we hand over 847 innocent people who sought refuge on our world. To this demand, humanity has one answer. No. We will not surrender those who trusted us. We will not break our word. If the harvesters want these people, they will have to go through every human on this planet first. We stand together. We stand for what is right. And we will defend our home and our guests with everything we have. The Velarin refugees watched the speech together in their facility. Many cried, their patterns glowing with colors humans had not seen before. A mixture of gratitude, fear, and something else. Hope. Hana found Jinwu in the command center. You're going to fight for us? You're going to die for us? You barely know us. Jinwu turned to face her. We know your people. We know you have families and dreams and hope. We know you're running from something evil. That's enough. That's all we need to know. But the numbers. You can't win. We couldn't win, and we had advanced weapons. Maybe we can't win, Jinwu admitted, but we're going to try. Because if we just hand you over without fighting, we become something less than human. We become cowards who sacrifice others to save ourselves. I'd rather die fighting than live with that shame. Tears fell from Hana's eyes. In her culture, crying was rare and sacred. I don't have words in any language to thank you enough. Then don't thank me with words. Help us. Tell us everything you know about the harvesters. Every weakness, every pattern, everything. Help us figure out how to fight them. Hana nodded. I will. We all will. The Velarin refugees refused to hide. Led by Hana, they volunteered to help Earth prepare for battle. Many Velarine had been engineers on their homeworld. They understood technology. Others had been soldiers. They knew how the harvesters fought. Yuna approached Dr. Minho with data files. This is everything we know about harvester technology. Their ships, their weapons, their tactics. I know human technology is different, but maybe you can find something useful. Minho and his team worked through the night studying the Velarin data. Other scientists joined them. Human and Velarin minds worked together, looking for any advantage, any weakness they could exploit. Admiral Taiyang organized Earth's defensive fleet. Every military ship, every armed satellite, every defense platform was brought online. It wasn't enough. The numbers were terrible. Even with every weapon Earth possessed, they were outmatched by more than 50 to 1. But humans had something the harvesters didn't expect. Humans were creative. Humans improvised. And when their backs were against the wall, humans fought with desperate fury. At a research facility, Minho made a discovery. Look at this, he told Yuna. The harvester ships are all connected through quantum entanglement. They share information instantly across their entire fleet. That's how they coordinate so perfectly. Yes, Yuna confirmed. That's their greatest strength. They act as one mind, but it's also a weakness. If we can disrupt that quantum connection, even for a few seconds, their coordination will collapse. They'll become confused, unable to work together. How do you disrupt quantum entanglement on that scale? Minho smiled grimly. Very carefully. And with technology we haven't invented yet. But we have 60 hours. Let's invent it. All across Earth, people prepared. Soldiers trained. Engineers built. Scientists calculated. And ordinary people said goodbye to their loved ones just in case. Junho Bei visited the Velarin facility one last time. He was too old to fight, but he wanted to see them before the battle. A young Velarin child approached him. She held out a drawing she had made. It showed humans and Velarin standing together under a blue sky. The sun was shining. Junho took the drawing with shaking hands. What's your name? He asked. Sumi, the child said. Her translator made her voice sound tiny and sweet. Sumi, that's a beautiful name. Tomorrow you'll see this sky again. I promise. Will you be okay? Sumi asked. Will everyone be okay? Hunyo wanted to lie. He wanted to promise her everything would be fine. But he couldn't. We'll do our best. And sometimes your best is all you can do. The countdown continued. 48 hours. 24 hours. 12 hours. The harvester fleet crossed Mars' orbit and accelerated. They were coming and nothing could stop them. Earth's fleet moved into defensive positions around the moon. This was where they would make their stand. 3 weeks had passed since the Velarin crashed on Earth. The refugees were no longer in the Canadian forest. They had been moved to a special facility in Iceland, far from crowded cities but comfortable and safe. The facility was built quickly with homes, medical centers, and open spaces. Humans wanted the Velarin to feel welcome, not imprisoned. Jinwoo visited the facility every day. He had been put in charge of the whole operation. It was his job to make sure the refugees had everything they needed. But more than that, he wanted to understand them. Who were they? What had happened to their world? Dr. Minho Lee had become close friends with Yuna, the Velarin healer. They spent hours together, learning about each other's medicine and biology. Minho was amazed by how similar the Velarin were to humans, yet also different in fascinating ways. Their glowing skin patterns were not just for show. They changed with emotions and could even help them communicate without words. When we are happy, we glow yellow and green, Yuna explained one afternoon in the medical lab. Her patterns shifted to demonstrate. Blue and purple mean we are calm or sad. Red means fear or anger. Minho wrote everything down in his notes. This is incredible. Your whole body is like a second language. Yes, Yuna said. Her patterns dimmed to a soft blue. It makes it hard to lie to each other. Our emotions are always visible. Minho noticed the sadness in her colors. You're thinking about home, Yuna nodded. We had a beautiful world. Blue oceans, purple forests. Cities that glowed at night like stars on the ground. Now it's all gone. Meanwhile, Captain Sora Nam was learning the Velarin story. She was a diplomatic officer, trained to talk with foreign leaders and solve problems with words instead of weapons. But she had never imagined she would be talking with aliens. Sora spent most of her time with Hana. The young Velarin had become the main person between her people and the humans. Hana had studied Earth cultures before the crash. She had learned human languages and customs. That was how she had chosen a human name for herself. "Tell me about the harvesters," Sora said one day. They sat in a quiet room with tea. Hana had learned to like Earth tea. Hana's patterns turned dark red. Fear. They came from deep space. Nobody knows where they originated. "They are not alive like us." "They are machines, but they think. They work together like a hive of insects, but each ship is huge and powerful. What do they want?" "Everything." Hana's voice was quiet. "They harvest entire planets. They take the metal, the organic life, the technology. They consume civilizations and use what they take to build more of themselves." Sora felt cold. "How long did your world fight them?" 6 months. "We had good weapons and brave soldiers. We destroyed many of their ships, but for everyone we destroyed, 3 more came. They don't stop. They don't negotiate. They just harvest." Hana's patterns flickered between red and purple. "In the end, our leaders sent out escape ships. 30 ships with refugees heading to different safe worlds. Only our ship made it through the dimensional rift. We don't know what happened to the others." "I'm sorry," Sora said softly. "We were supposed to reach a sanctuary planet in another galaxy, a place that agreed to take refugees, but our navigator was injured during the escape. The coordinates were wrong. We ended up here instead." Hana looked at Sora. "We brought danger to your world. If the harvesters tracked our energy signature through the rift—" "Don't think about that now," Sora interrupted gently. "You're here. You're safe. That's what matters." But Hana's fear was real, and soon it would be justified. The Earth's governments were having big arguments about the Velarin. Some countries wanted to help the refugees. Others wanted to send them away, afraid they would bring trouble. The United Nations held emergency meetings every day. Arguments got heated. Some leaders yelled at each other. Then Junho Bei stood up to speak. He was an old man, a representative from Korea. He had lived through wars and seen terrible things. When he spoke, people listened. "I lost my family in a war when I was young," Junho said, his voice strong despite his age. "They were refugees running from bombs and bullets. They asked other countries for help. Those countries closed their doors. They said accepting refugees was too dangerous, too expensive, too difficult. My family died because nobody would help." The room was silent. Junho continued. "We say we are civilized. We say we are better than we were in the past. We have laws about helping people in danger. We have words like compassion and humanity. But words mean nothing if we don't act on them. These Velarin people have nowhere to go. Their world is gone. They have children who need safety, families who need hope. We have room. We have resources. And we have a choice. What will we choose?" The vote was taken the next day. By a large majority, the United Nations voted to grant the Velarin asylum on Earth. They could stay. They could build new lives. When Jinwoo told Hana the news, she cried. Her patterns glowed bright yellow and green. Joy. "Thank you," she said over and over. "Thank you." The Velarin began to integrate into human society. Carefully and slowly, but with hope, Velarin children started attending school, learning alongside human children. Some Velarin adults shared their knowledge with human scientists. Others shared their art and music. A Velarin composer played a piece on an instrument that looked like a crystal harp. The music was beautiful and strange, making people cry even though they didn't understand the words. Yuna and Minho published a research paper together about Velarin and human biology. It was the first joint publication between two species. Scientists around the world read it with excitement. Life seemed to be getting better. The Velarin laughed more often. Their patterns glowed with happier colors. Human and Velarin friendships formed. It seemed like maybe everything would be okay. Then, on a cold morning 3 months after the Velarin arrived, the long-range sensors detected something at the edge of Earth's solar system. Jinwoo was called to the command center. Admiral Taiyang Ko was already there, staring at the screens. His face was pale. "What is it?" Jinwoo asked. Taiyang pointed at the screen. "Multiple contacts. Very large. Moving toward the inner solar system. How many?" We're still counting. So far, over 100 signatures. They're organized in formation. This is not natural. This is a fleet. Jinwoo's stomach dropped. Show me their trajectory. The computer displayed a path. The unknown fleet was heading straight for Earth. They brought Hana to the command center. When she saw the sensor readings, she collapsed. Jinwoo caught her. Her patterns were pure red, brighter than he had ever seen. No, she whispered. No, no, no. They found us. The harvesters. Hana nodded, trembling. They tracked our energy signature. They followed us through the rift. She looked at Jinwoo with terrified eyes. They're coming for us. And now they know about Earth.